welcome to Headcanon Fodder. My name's Jess.
My name's Helen.
And this is a podcast about the bury your gays trope because queer people keep dying and we're not okay with it.
It sucks.
That's pretty much it. And today's episode is about Clexa
from the 100.
instead of the 100, which is what I thought it was called.
Not the 100.
It's not my fault. I've never seen it, so this is going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, so this podcast has basically started because I recently decided to binge Faking It, even though I knew exactly what was going to happen at the end, and the fact that it was going to be cancelled and that it was cancelled.
It was a stupid decision.
Yeah, and I still put myself through it. And I decided I wanted some closure, so I had a Google and found that there was an interview with the executive producer of the show, and he said, Karma and Amy will probably end up together. And I was like, yeah. And he was like, if that's how you want it to be, stop reading. So of course I read on. And he was like, but it wouldn't have worked out. They wouldn't have worked out. And I think that is bullshit. So we decided to make a podcast where we take terrible endings to good shows and we fix them.
I love that we're making a podcast about Clexa because I've never listened to a podcast and you've never seen the 100. So between us, we're doing well.
I mean, I've seen bits of the 100.
You did a crash course?
Yeah, I did a crash course about an hour ago. And I okay, this is what I know. Okay, Lexa's the one with the terrible eye makeup. Clark is the one who's not Australian but is Australian. And there's a chair made of sticks. And that's what I know about the 100. I didn't even know how to fucking say it. So that's about all there is. So, yeah. How does it happen? What happens in the 100?
Okay, so you've got... The basic premise of the show is that there was a nuclear explosions on Earth. And so to survive it, everybody went into space. I can't remember what's wrong with the spaceship, but something's going on with the spaceship. So essentially, they need to find out whether or not the Earth is inhabitable again.
Space is gay. Continue.
I hate you. But we're in the future. So, and this is the bit where I'm like, did I really decide that this was a show I want to watch? Because they decide to send down, like, children, 100 children,
wow,
to Earth to see if the world is inhabitable.
I mean, if we've learned anything from the first, 2 minutes of this podcast, is that adults aren't responsible to make good life decisions. So maybe that was a good idea.
Anyways, they get on the ground, discover it is inhabitable, but what do you know? Other people are on the ground!
Wow.
Whoa!
Edgy. Wait,
And
are
they're
they
called
the grounders? Fucking hell, this is an imaginative show. I apologise, I'm not trashing this show by any means. I feel like if I'd have watched it, I would have enjoyed it.
No,
but by the time I realised that it was a show I wanted to watch, the leading lesbian was dead, and I decided absolutely not.
Okay, so then they land on the ground, and basically the show is about the fallout of that and what happens and the relationships between the people, and just it has a huge focus on moral issues, like the biggest kind of. Do you mind if I'm going to spoiler it?
I mean, it's a bit late now, but yeah.
So there's, I remember the biggest thing for me is at the end of season 2, which is after Clark and Lexa have kissed for the first time, but they're not in a relationship. Oh my god, okay, right. An alliance starts between the Grounders and the Sky People.
They're called the Sky People! Oh, I love that, okay, yes. How long do you think that took to think up? Right, we need a name for people who are on the floor and a name for people who aren't. Okay.
Maybe it was in the book though. That's what I hope. Because if they
there was
genuinely,
a book.
yeah, it's based on the book.
Christ.
Because
Okay.
if it's genuinely just the writer's room, I'm worried.
Okay.
Anyways, but
Talk to me about
Clark and Lexa.
Yeah.
The point of the podcast.
Yeah.
Sorry. But yeah, then Clark and Lexa reunite in season 3, which is amazing. It's amazing. Ask me why.
Why?
Lexa sends some guy to track down Clark because Clark leaves So Clark is like the head of the Sky People.
Yeah.
And after she murders everyone, she essentially has like an internal panic.
Mm-hmm.
She goes away on this walk, and when we come back in season 3,
yes,
she's like this grizzled woman covered in muck with a big stick, and is like walking through the woods on her own, like learning how to survive. She has sex with this random girl at one point.
Fantastic.
And like it's just really odd. Anyway, she then gets kidnapped by this dude and she fights tooth and nail. And then it transpires that Lexa organised her to be kidnapped and brought to her, and it's hilarious.
Oh my gosh, amazing.
It's just great.
Okay. And
then they reconcile.
And they get together.
They get together.
How long are they together before she gets killed? Like 5 minutes?
Remember.
Probably?
No. Like, they got together. Like, okay. Clark chooses not to leave because she forgives Lexa, because there's an amazing scene. There's an amazing scene where essentially Lexa gets Clark as the ambassador of the Sky People,
mm-hmm.
or the Sky Crew, as it is in Grounder. Grounder is the language. No, actually, it's called something like Trigadislang or whatever, but that's the language. To pledge her allegiance to Lexa, to bring them in as the 13th clan of the Alliance.
Okay.
Which she does. And then when they're in private, Lexa gets down on her knees in front of Clark and says, "I swear fealty to you, Clark, Sky Crew." And it's the best!
Fantastic.
And, like, Clark draws her, and it's, my heart hurts. It's just...
Okay. Right. The death.
Yeah.
This is something I actually know about. Purely because I love Buffy. And when it came out, there was just a cry because everyone who had just about gotten over the death of Tara saw it again. Yeah.
It was a stray bullet as well. Do you know what actually happened?
Yes. So Clark gets... Am I right in saying Clark gets into a fight with this guy and he just decides that he's going to shoot her or something?
Titus is, like, Lexa's head advisor.
Okay.
And he is one of the people who's taught her that love is weakness.
Right.
And he's got a real issue with Clark. So in order to, in his view, save their way of life and people,
mm-hmm.
he takes a gun to Clark.
Okay.
And shoots. Misses Clark, but hits Lexa.
Well, he shoots a couple times, doesn't he? He shoots a few times, and then Lexa just walks in like, "Hey!" and then she gets shot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not as bad as Buffy. Literally, Tara wasn't even outside with the guy who was shooting the gun. She was just stood by a window, and it went through, and Willow was like, "Oh, what's on your shirt?" and Tara collapses, and that's that. But I think...
Oh, it hurt.
The fact that it happened again.
The fury came from the build-up of mm-hmm. Clark and Lexa as a romantic couple. That was built up by the writers, the executive producer, and, like, it just... I think it's a Tumblr blog called We Deserved Better, which has got screenshots mm-hmm. and everything, and like tracks it all. Because one of the
Here
writers,
are the receipts.
kind of. Because one of the writers was in a forum, went onto an internet forum mm-hmm. under an alias and was chatting with fans of the show, and then revealed themselves to actually be, and like reassuring people.
Okay.
And it's just
that's terrible.
Happened, and then they did that.
I think it definitely started a lot of things, especially on Tumblr.
Oh yeah, I mean. LGBT fans deserve better, and Clexa
mm-hmm.
came off the back of that.
Exactly.
You know, and they've raised something like, I know they've raised at least $200,000 for the Trevor Project.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Trevor Project do some amazing work as well.
Yeah. It's, you know,
mm-hmm.
it is incredible.
Okay, well then here's the question: do you think it was good that it happened?
I will never say yes to that question.
Okay.
Because for me,
mm-hmm.
it was my first experience with this.
Right, okay.
If that makes sense. And it was also one that was particularly important for a whole lot of reasons, because it happened at a time when I was working out my own sexuality and all those things, and
mm-hmm.
I was one of the people that was in this precarious position.
mm-hmm.
mentally and all those other things, and had kind of invested in Lexa and the show because I felt reassured, and then it happened. So I remember it as very raw.
Do you think if it was a different show it would have mattered as much? Because I feel like The 100 was, although we said it's like kind of for adults, it's like young adults,
yes,
teenagers kind of thing. Do you think that that really impacted young LGBT people?
Yeah, I do. And what I was going to say a minute ago is that I think if it wasn't The 100, it would have been something else. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, I will never say that it was a good thing, because I don't believe it was a good thing, but I think what's come out of it has been some amazing things.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that if it hadn't been The 100, it would have been something else. But if you'd asked me that even, like, maybe even a year ago, I wouldn't have been able to see it like that, because I was still too caught up in the... You know, and I'm still now. I will not watch that show past 307. Right. And I've never gone back.
I understand that.
So. For
sure. Do you think then, sorry, like 20 questions, do you think that the whole preserve your gaze trope now that has ricocheted off of this issue is good? Because, like, the example that comes to mind for me is Supergirl, because we know whatever happens, Alex Danvers is pretty much safe. She will be protected by everyone, especially Kyla Lee.
I have a thing about this, but I don't know if you want to hear it.
No, go on.
I think that when Batwoman comes out, she'll no longer be safe.
Oh, bugger.
Sorry. Because, but I do think that, 100%. Because...
And they're going to do the old switcheroo.
I don't think it'll go like that, but exactly. But I think that there is an element of... how to phrase this without sounding like a complete dick. It's not that I don't think they're going to do a switcheroo, but I don't think that really anybody is safe. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I understand.
And that. I think as well, when part of the issue is, I mean, if you're literally just looking at it logically and taking the emotion out of it, if what you're wanting to tap into is an LGBT plus fan base, and you're currently tapping into that through this one show, with this one character, and then all of a sudden you're producing another show whose lead is that, you're probably aware of the fact that a lot of the people who tap into show A for the one character will go over to show B. So if you then kill off the character in show A, well, that's probably not going to do that much, because the people who are there aren't there for that character. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So they're not going to worry about losing anyone, and at the same time, I would argue that Alex Danvers particularly would be a powerful character to kill off because of the effect it would have on Kara and the ramifications for the show as a whole. I don't think they will.
No.
But I think that it would give them the option to if they do produce Batwoman.
See, I think the issue for me is I love Alex Danvers.
Yeah, and I love Kyla Lee.
We're doing an episode about Danvers very, very soon, because I think it's very important, and I think it is as important as what happened on the 100.
I agree, and I think as well, I mean, I know you've seen the interview with Kyla Lee at Clexacon, and she talks about the conversation had between Kyla and Greg specifically. There's a bit in it where she's talking about the importance of being an older lesbian and having that realisation older, and she has this really powerful moment where she's telling the story that Greg told her of this woman who was, I think, 77 or something.
It's fantastic, isn't
and
it?
then realising, well, I mean, it is and it isn't. Like, imagine being 77. You know? Like, I know what you mean.
I understand,
But, and so I think Alex is very powerful in that sense, but...
I don't know. But we're going to do an episode on that, because we have
We've got off topic a little bit there, haven't we?
We have a lot of thoughts and feelings. Okay, so what we're going to move on to, because I haven't seen this show and I think this is going to be hilarious, is Helen has come up with a load of quotes. How many quotes have you got?
5 in total.
Okay, 5 quotes. How many of those are incorrect?
2.
2 quotes out of these 5 aren't real, and I have to guess which ones I think were actually in the show, which ones I think came out of Helen's twisted mind. So do you want to go?
Okay, so this first one is Lexa says this to Clark.
Okay.
I made this decision with my head, not my heart.
That's adorable.
The second one, Clexa says it to Clark, and then Clark is responding. So Clexa says...
Clexa. Wow.
Oh, right. So yeah, Lexa says it to Clark, and then Clark is responding. So Lexa says, "You're angry, Clark, but I know you. What you've done haunts you, and it's easier to hate me than to hate yourself." And Clark says, "Oh, I can do both."
Oh, I like that.
Oh man, I forgot I'd written this one down. Well, Lexa, while on her knees, I swear fealty to you, Clark, on Sky Crew.
Well, I know that's real.
I forgot,
It's
sorry.
okay, don't worry.
This is Lexa to Clark. One Hader, an immature title for an immature woman. And
Wow.
Lexa says this to Clark. "I'd wish we'd never met, Clark, com Sky Crew."
I want that last one to be true, but I don't know if it is. Can I see them, or have you written which is real?
No, I haven't written down which is real, but like, if you can read my writing, have fun.
I think that number 2, the whole "you're angry, Clark" one,
Yeah.
isn't real.
Okay.
And I think the last one isn't real.
Interesting. You got one of them right and one of them wrong.
Second one's right.
The second one.
Yeah. Okay.
"You're angry, Clark, but I know you. What you've done haunts you, and it's easier to hate me than to hate
It's
yourself."
not.
I can do both.
It's not good because I've read your fanfic, so I know the kind of meme you'd put in it and like the angst. But okay, which one? Which the other one?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Which one? Which is the other one?
One Hader, an immature title for an immature woman. She'd never say that. Do you know why?
Why?
One Hader means Commander of Death.
Ow. That's not fair. I lost on a technicality.
I knew you wouldn't know what that meant, so
Okay.
I thought it was funny.
Well, that's fine. That was cool. I like that.
Yeah.
So we've gone over why the death was terrible. Let's talk about our horrendous endings. Now, I don't know what Helen's written for this, but I have a little script in front of me, and I haven't got it. It's like face down, so I have no idea what it says.
So essentially, before we talk about how we'd fix this, I decided that I would write an ending that in a lot of ways was even worse, but Jess has got absolutely no idea what's coming, and she's only going to be able to see it line by line.
Who do I get to be?
You can choose, Clark or Lexa.
Does she rest her ankle at any point while she's sat down on her knee?
Yes.
So then I'll be Lexa. Okay.
Okay, Lexa starts, so you've got to turn over the first one.
Okay.
Oh, wait, before we begin...
Oh, I just read the first line. Okay.
Before we begin, this is like just after they've had sex.
Brilliant. I got that from the first line, which reads, "Thank you very much for the sex, Clark. It was very enjoyable."
You're very welcome. I also enjoyed it.
I'm good. I'm glad. However, I've got some bad news.
Oh?
I'm afraid I don't think we can be together.
Gasp! As grammatically as possible. Why ever not?
Well, you see, as a child, my back was sliced open and a spidery-looking thing, which was actually a piece of technology, was inserted into my body. Thus, I'm pretty sure I'm an I'm an alien.
You're going to want to keep that in your hand.
Oh, God.
What?
Well, you see, as a child, my back was sliced open, and a spidery-looking thing, which was actually a piece of technology, was inserted into my body. Thus, I'm pretty sure I'm an alien.
One more time.
Oh, for God's sake. Well, you see, as a child, my back was sliced open, spidery-looking thing, technology. I'm an alien, I think.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's a lot to take in.
I'm sorry.
In fairness, it's probably just as well.
What makes you say that?
Well, you see, I'm actually in love with Bellamy. The end! you wouldn't know how bad that is.
That is cruel. Like, I know who, but that is dreadful. Right. That is disallowed. You've been disqualified from our podcast.
I just wanted to make you read that sentence like 7 times.
Okay. That was horrible.
Okay.
You're mean.
But how would we fix it?
Okay, so I have decided how this should be fixed.
Wait, before you tell me this,
Mm-hmm.
are we fixing it in thinking about... Because obviously the reason they killed her off is because Alicia Dedman Carey got the lead in Fear the Walking Dead and so was going to have to leave the show. So that they had to write her out, kind of thing.
Okay.
So are we fixing it
No.
with that.
No.
Okay.
We're literally
Waving
waving
a
our
magic
magic wand,
okay.
and we're gonna fix it.
Okay.
And I think my ending will show that. I haven't written it down. This is off the fly, but
Okay.
this is how I feel. So, when the gun is fired at Lexa, she uses her ninja abilities to move out the way. The bullet then ricochets around the room, much like it would in a old Western film, and you have that ping noise where it goes ping, ping, and you get like close-ups of it going against a wall, and then like it goes outside, and then it just goes past Tara, and nobody gets killed, and then it just makes its way back to anybody who's not Lexa, and it then just kills them dead. Just random, like nobody important, like a lollipop man, or just someone, not that lollipop men aren't important, just somebody who has no correlation to the show whatsoever. Maybe like a little termite or something, and that's what happens. And then Lex is like, phew, that was close. And the guy with the gun's like, oh, I'm out of bullets. And then they arrest him, take him away, and then Clark and Lexa bang into the sunset. That's how I'd fix it. 100%. There would be no other way.
You're ridiculous.
Yeah. That's how it would end. Oh, you're telling me your ending's going to be better than that? Because I don't believe that.
No, that would be an amazing ending, but it's also not a realistic ending.
It's not my fault. I'm not doing a writing degree, okay? I'm not a pro. My fan fiction's all terrible.
It's not. I've read some. It's okay.
Thank you. I'll plug it later. But
ew.
Oh no. Okay. What's your ending that's gonna be way better than my ending?
It's not. It's just a case of I don't even know if I have one. It's just.
Helen, I'm not being funny. That's the whole point of this podcast. So you better bloody hope that you've got one, because otherwise you'll be in trouble.
I wrote a horrendous one. It's your job to come up with the real ones.
Okay.
No, but like, seriously, if thinking about it in terms of... Because I was saying to you at one point, when I was doing the research for this, I read an article that was written not long after 307. I think it might have even been a review of the episode kind of thing. And the point that they made was that Lexa had to die, which, I mean, I disagree with, but that Lexa had to die because she was kind of a fix-it tool for the writers.
Yeah. Like,
she had too much power and she agreed with what Clark wanted. So that had to change. So I guess if I wanted to wave a magic wand and make it, like, okay, probably what I would have done is something like she'd have... Because Lexa as a character always put her people first.
Yeah.
So I think maybe what would have happened would have been, as a character, she would have realised that, well, she would have thought that she was no longer fit to rule because she was letting her emotions lead. And because of that, she would have stepped down.
Right.
And somebody else could have taken over. Probably Indra, because I loved Indra and she's great. And so is the actress. Her name has, like, literally just left my head. Damn it, I'm going to have to lift that a little bit up in a minute. But anyways. And then she would have stepped down, but still been involved, probably just as the head of Tree Crew. And they could have...
Tree Crew?
Sorry. So the clans have all got, like, names.
Okay.
So it's spelled differently. It's spelled Trikru, but
their
like fighting style is based in like being in the trees and jumping down and things like. Stop it!
Like little monkeys. Fab. Okay.
Oh my days!
I think I'm gonna have to watch this show. Just do what I did with Faking It and be like, oh, but if I watch it, it won't happen. Something will happen. I think there could have been a better way of handling it, like having a way that she can come back and...
Without her being dead and in a special magical city, might be it.
What was all this ball about? Like, I just went and watched this, so from what I gather, something's wrong with Clark, and she's inside her own head or something, and Lex is there, and they're on the steps. But yeah, I think it could have been handled much better, and I think that other shows may have acted different.
This is the other thing, like, I can remember... I found it a minute ago, again, when I was doing research for this, and it was... Here it is. There's a screenshot, again, on the We Deserve Better one, which was to... Right, I looked up how to pronounce his name. Javier Grigio Markswatch, who wrote the episode, had Tumblr, and so after everything else, after the episode aired, people were sending him messages, and one of them was, "I'm not asking for a discussion of the process. I'm really just asking a yes or no question. Did you know this trope existed?" Referencing Bury Your Gaze. "And was it a concern for you while writing?" And the response was, "I absolutely did. It absolutely was. We discussed it, and yet, in spite of..." I've just realised this might not be him. Might be one of the other... It was definitely one of the writers.
Okay, fine.
Anyway, oh no, now I lost it. Here it is. "I absolutely did. It absolutely was. We discussed it. And yet, in spite of all of our best intentions and conversations, we were naive enough or arrogant enough to believe that the LGB representation in our show and our ability as writers would superate/redeem our use of the trope. We were wrong." You can't really get a better apology than that. Do you know what I mean? That is, we were aware of the trope. We thought we would be able to get around it. We were wrong. We're sorry. Like, it shouldn't have happened. And again, this is a case of, you know, when I read it at the time, I was like, ah! But I was also, 18? No, 16?
I don't know.
What were we in? Yeah, 16. Baby. And like, nah, you should have been nice.
No, I get it.
Kind of thing.
But then that's their audience, you know, and they are like young, impressionable people. Yeah. And the point is that it did cause an upset because of that reason. I think it's naive to think that doesn't have that effect. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I think, although an apology is good, by then it's too late. And being aware of the trope is somewhat ignorant because they were like, "Oh no, it'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Pass the cookies," kind of thing.
It'll be fine. Shh. Shh. Be fine.
So, yeah, I think we fixed it. I'd say we fixed it.
How would we fix it? Lexa would step down as commander, and Clark and Lexa would live together happily as the leaders of the respective clans, but not either of them as the leader of the 13 clans. There we go. And they'd apparently bang into the sunset.
Oh yes, that is the important part of this. And somehow that stick chair would come into play.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So I think we pretty much have said everything that needs to be said about the 100. Yeah.
Thank you very much for listening to Headcanon Fodder.
If you do have any ideas, please send them in, because I'm pretty sure those endings were both terrible. Hey! And there are some very creative people out there, so you can find us on Twitter and on Tumblr. There are some amazing
people out there.
Really?
Yeah, some of the fanfic endings are amazing.
I think they're one of the most written about
they are.
pairings on AO3.
They still have like people writing stuff incredible. For them now, and it's been 2 years?
I love that. But then for Berry.
No, we've got another episode.
People don't know this, episode. I was hardcore for Berry trash for so long, and I still am, and they still have there's some amazing fanfics out there still. Anyway, we're gonna have a whole episode about them because they were the ultimate power couple that never happened because of Ryan Murphy.
Thank you very much for listening to Headcanon Fodder. You can find us on Twitter at The Lesbians Takeover. Yeah, boy. Or you can find our webzine on Tumblr, The Lesbians Take Over the Internet, at thelesbianzine.tumblr.com. Yeah.
And we'll see you again next week when Helen doesn't know this, but when we take on for Berry because it's an important topic.
No.
And that's what our next episode's going to be about. So see you all next week. Have a great week.
Bye.
Ciao for now.